That's what I thought.
That was what we February 20th, 2024 regular meeting of the Montgomery County Fiscal Court is now called to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for our prayer. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the opportunity to come together. God, we just ask for wisdom and knowledge and understanding that we make decisions, Lord, that would benefit our community, and God, that would glorify your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thanks, sir. All right, will the clerk call the roll?
Shane Parker. Here. Daniel Carmichael.
Here.
Ralph Charles.
Here.
All right. Fiscal court members have been given a copy of the minutes from the January 16, 2024 regular meeting. If not, well, do I have a motion to approve these the minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion by Ralph Charles.
Second.
Have a second by Daniel Carmichael. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. Are there any citizens who would like to address the court at this time? All right. No citizens. We'll move on to new business. Let's start with, we have 6 lease agreements, renewals, with the Commonwealth of Kentucky Division of Real Properties. All of these lease agreements are for 1 year beginning July the 1st, 2024 and ending June the 30th, 2025. The first 2 lease agreements are for space at the Civic Center with the Cabinet for Health and Family Services and the Department of Juvenile Justice. Do I have a motion to approve these 2 lease agreements for PR 2829, Cabinet for Health and Family Resources, and PR 5549, Department of Juvenile Justice?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Daniel Carmichael. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Shane Parker. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. The next 4 lease agreements are for space at the Courthouse Annex with Unified Prosecutorial System, PR 4781, Department of Corrections, PR 4112, and Probation and Parole, PR 2354, and Department of Veteran Affairs, PR 5694. Do I have a motion to approve these 4 lease agreements, renewal agreements, PR 4781, Unified Prosecutorial System, PR 4112, Department of Corrections, PR 2354, Probation and Parole, and PR 5694, Department of Veteran Affairs?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, Shane Parker. Second. Second, Ralph Charles. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, court has been given a copy of the following ordinances amending the Montgomery County Fiscal Court's budget for 23-24 for unanticipated revenue receipts. The general fund unanticipated revenue from various sources in the amount of $728,556.84, and increasing expenditures for the revenue reserve transfer line item for $728,000 $728,556.84. Second is road fund, unanticipated revenue from various sources in the amount of $48,739.70, and increasing expenditures in the road construction material line item for $48,739.70. The jail fund, unanticipated revenue from various sources in the amount of $301,165.28, and increasing expenditures in the reserve for transfer line item in the same amount. The LGEA fund, unanticipated revenue from mineral severance tax in the amount of $5,028.71, and increasing expenditures in the road construction material line item for $5,028.71. Then last, our Finneran fund, the unanticipated revenue from surplus from prior year in the amount of $34,571.87, and increasing expenditures in the reserve for transfer line item for $34,571.87. Do I have a motion to approve the first reading of these ordinances?
I'll make the motion.
And the motion, Daniel Carmichael. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Ralph Charles. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. The court has been given a copy of the sheriff's official receipt for property tax bills for 2023. Do I have a motion to enter the sheriff's official receipt for 2023 property tax bills into the fiscal court's order book?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion by Ralph Charles. Second.
I'll second.
Second, Shane Parker. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. The court has been given a copy of the sheriff's 2023 annual settlement subject to audit. Do I have a motion to approve the sheriff's annual settlement for 2023 subject to final audit?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, Daniel Carmichael. Second.
Second.
Have a second by Ralph Charles. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. The court has been given a copy of a resolution authorizing the provision of funds not to exceed $367,165 from funds received through ARPA for the replacement of the bridge located on Science Ridge Road in Jeffersonville, Kentucky. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Shane Parker. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Daniel Carmichael. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. The court has been given a copy of the memorandum of understanding between the fiscal court and the Montgomery County Sanitation District Number 2, authorizing funds not to exceed $1 million received through ARPA for the Montgomery County Sanitation District Number 2 wastewater collection system rehabilitation project. Do I have a motion to approve this memorandum of understanding between Montgomery County Fiscal Court and Montgomery County Sanitation District 2 for funds not to exceed $1 million to assist with the wastewater collection system rehabilitation project?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion by Ralph Charles. Second, Daniel Carmichael. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Fiscal Court has a copy of the Treasurer's Report, manual checks written, additional vouchers, and budget transfers. Commissioner Parker reviewed the bills for February. If there are no questions, do I have a motion to approve the county treasurer's report and pay the bills?
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, Shane Parker, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Ralph Charles. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. All right. I did talk to Mr. Uselis here about an hour and a half ago. He is supposed to be here tonight. He's still not here. He was stuck in traffic. What we'll do is we can take a brief recess. I can call him, figure out where he's at, how much longer he's going to be. At that time, we'll come back. Is that all right? All right. This time, we'll say that the physical court stands in recess. All right?
Drive by and you think stop, you know, no, you don't know what you're packing. You don't know what I'll pack when you better turn left, go over, turn around.
Do you sit across the road, bring one?
Sometimes.
No, there's a bunch of you. Yeah.
As soon as the car stops, you can call, we don't. The evenings now, guys are burning up there.
Yeah.
I started to jump out the other day, see the dog in the field right beside your house, cows, and I was like.
Yeah. I don't have a dog.
No, I thought, that's what I
Oh,
thought.
cow, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, did I have a cow? Did I?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I need to come back one of these. when the
Yeah,
cars
you
are-
need to get it.
I jumped out the other day and I tried to finish her house, come running through. I jumped out.
He's in town. He just got off
Did
the
the same shot.
He'll be here
Look around,
next few
school,
minutes.
everything else. Nobody said a word. I was like, around this point.
Thank you for doing that. I'm starting to have some calves, so I know.
Oh, they're dead now.
They're 10 days.
House pets, turkeys and fawns.
You know what? Our turkeys are gone. And,
Get them there.
you know, we don't know a lot of wildlife. We saw one big fox. A big fox.
That kid's they'll eat them.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're starting to get some big cats. If people drop those cats. More convenient place to go by.
Well, this, I'm glad that you didn't have, because that farm out there, that's my company. So you go around and get. No, it's not that. They'll be dropping about 2 months.
Yeah. around and, we're gonna move out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the next morning. They ran, you seen my boy?
I saw him last night.
You been playing up there now? I ain't looked.
Probably is. I saw him at the ball game last night.
Oh, did you? He got mad at me, so, Friday night, you know, he was snowing. I had to call him and I said, you can come home. And I said, yeah, I said, be very careful from home. So when he got back to the show, he went to Anderson, and he was playing, and I called him in Anderson, and I said, what part of the road did you run off on the camera and come home?
Right.
So I said, so tomorrow, like, when you get off work, you come back home. So he didn't speak to me at all Sunday.
Right.
So it's okay. I tell you, I said, I'm the one that makes you roll go around that little, Equinox Drive. You remember it's in my name. And that truck out there, that's in my name.
Right.
Yeah. So I haven't saw him, so he's very happy.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, he didn't even get up yesterday, didn't come in carrying in the groceries and that.
No.
No.
Get pat a little bit.
Well, no, here. That's right, it inquired.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And he's, I was pretty afraid the week that I had Charlie, so he really not like it. No, I'm not sure. I know what they're doing there. I ain't no clue.
I get it. Hey, sir. How you doing? Sorry. No, it's all good. Thanks for being here. Do the hooky up here. Oh, let's see. Right. Yeah.
But,
I would go back to school.
Thank you, sir.
Is he ready for me, or are we gonna wait till they come back in? Or just go? I'll give him a minute. Thank y'all so much. Sorry for my delay in being here. I had some traffic on the way over from Louisville today. Ready to roll?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, thank you again. Apologies again for being late tonight, but my name is Ben Uselis. I'm with Spectrum. I'm kind of helping to manage all of our broadband expansion projects across Kentucky. And as you all are well aware, Montgomery County is now one of those major projects that we are working on. And so I'm happy to be here tonight, give you a quick update of what's going on, what you can expect in the coming months, and answer any questions you'll have about the build. So I've put here on the screen, I know it's hard to see, there's no good way to blow these things up. But we essentially have two phases of our project going on in Montgomery County today. You'll see the dark blue shaded areas. Those are the builds that are already underway, and in fact have mostly been completed. There's a few areas we're still working on, I'll talk about in a minute. That was a project through the Federal Rural Digital Opportunity Fund, or RDOF, you might hear people say. That was one of our first big projects across the state of Kentucky. Through that project alone, we are building about 31,000 unserved homes, connecting them with high-speed internet. We received about $58 million in funding from the federal government. We're putting up more than $100 million of our own funds to get to those homes. Before I go any further, every single house that we look at today, whether it's the blue or the light blue, when these projects are completed, they will have access, full fiber to the home deployment to their house, not just down the street, all the way to the house, to get access to all the services we have today, the highest levels of speed that we have anywhere, video service, phone service, mobile phone service, all that will be available at the same price points as everywhere else. So the goal is to get everyone connected to the same network and treat everyone the same once they have access. So phase one is these RDOF areas. Those are, I know this area is completed. I believe we've done most of the work down there. I just checked, and I think we're only waiting on about 100 or 150 poles to get permits on. Pole permitting is something you're going to hear me talk about a lot. It's a big part of this process. And so we're working our way through that final phase to get those blue shaded areas done. The light blue, which I changed them from red to light blue, thinking you all could see them better. I think that just made it worse. But you'll see all these little dots spread out throughout the county. That is the award we won fall of last year, that we partnered with the county and sought state funding to build out to all of those areas. That project is underway as well. It's just at an earlier phase. And so any of these projects essentially go through three phases of deployment. The first phase, which is what the light blue dots are in right now, I call it the design phase, the walkout phase. It's a lot of behind the scenes work that our team has to do to evaluate that area, walk out every single road, look at every house, every structure, every ditch and railroad and crossing and everything, and every pole, to essentially design our overall network design that we'll use to build the program. That can take easily 6 to 9 months for us to walk out, and especially when you're looking at as big of an area as we're covering in Montgomery. But that is well underway. The first step we do, and I should have an updated map on this here soon in the next maybe month or so, we will break this into groups. We call them OLT boundaries, right? So you may have a group here. Each one has about 200 homes in it. And eventually this map will look all broken up and segregated into different groups. The reason we do that is because we build them one at a time. Well, not one at a time, but we can activate them one at a time. So we'll go and we'll build these areas, and as soon as one group gets built, we set what's called an OLT, which is the piece of equipment that deploys service, light it up, and those folks have service while we're working on all the other OLT boundaries. So that's why you won't have to wait for everything to get built for some folks to have access to service. So that's step one, called sizing. So basically, they've chopped it up into these OLT boundaries. The second part of that is, the second part of phase one, we're still in phase one, is walkout. That's what I was talking about, walking out the roads. You may see our crews out there. We will looking at taking pictures of poles. We literally have to take a picture of every utility pole with us holding a measuring stick and package all that information up. That will be completed in a grand project design, which will wrap up that phase one of the project. Phase two is the pole permitting. That's what I mentioned earlier. So all that design information we send to the pole owners, the utility companies for the most part, and say, here are all the poles we have to attach to. Because they own the poles, we pay for any work that needs to be done to prepare the poles for us to attach fiber to, and we also pay an attachment fee on those poles for perpetuity. So we basically send them the design, say, here's our plan, here's what we're building. If there are poles that need to be replaced or otherwise worked on to make room for our lines, we pay for that work, but they have to complete that work. Their electrical engineers will complete that work. So phase two, and a lot of times, becomes kind of the make or break phase to determine how quickly a job is going to get done. We've gotten much better at working with the pole owners to get those moved quickly, but at the same time, we're sending them pole applications in the thousands, where we used to send them maybe a few hundred a year. Now we're sending thousands for every project we're doing. So it's a lot of work that we're asking them to do. They're getting better at managing the workload. When we first started a lot of this rural build a couple of years ago, they kind of got overwhelmed with it, and understandably so. And so we have a lot of poles that were sitting for over a year, where we submit the application, wait for more than a year to get approval, and then we can go do our work. We're hopeful that that doesn't happen anymore, and we don't have those long wait times. And we have really good ways of tracking it and working with the homeowners now, so that when we submit all these pole permits, we'll know, okay, we've submitted X thousand number of poles, we've gotten back 300, these have been sitting for 3 months, these have been sitting for 6 months, what's going on with these, and we can call the pole owners and work through that. If we ever get to a point, and when we get closer, when we get to that phase for this bigger project, I'll have more information for you, Judge, and the court to track that, so that we make sure that nothing's slipping here, and that we don't have, a project where we're sitting for a year waiting for pole permits. We'll work closely. Yes, Judge.
So I heard that there might be some legislation in the works as far as the pole permitting.
I know that's being considered. There, the legislature, the PSC, lots of folks are looking at this, because basically at the rate that we were getting pole permits approved maybe a year ago, actually not even that long ago, throughout last year, all these state grant projects, we have, 46 different state grant projects that we're working on across the state. It would take us a decade to build all of this at the rate we're getting pole permits back right now. So everybody kind of realizes it's a crisis, and the answer is we have to get pole owners to move as quickly as possible. We're willing to do anything in our power to help them. We had one scenario in another county where a pole owner was trying to be proactive and get ahead of the curve. We rented a big lot where they stored 500 poles so that they could come and do that work quickly. We're trying to be as flexible as we can, and I think for the most part, a lot of the pole owners we're working with they're working on it too. But yes, it is kind of reaching a fever pitch, and I think there are some legislators and others who are thinking we need to get this built, and what can we do to make it happen? I'm not the expert on what's the latest there, but it wouldn't shock me if that happened. So that's phase two, and that's that critical phase, right? To get access to those poles. Because once we have access to the poles, phase three is the easy part. That's our construction, where we just go and we hang fiber up. We're about, I'd say 80 or 90% of it's going to be in the air. Montgomery might be a little bit different. I know we've done some underground, and we will do underground occasionally. that has its own complications, as you can imagine. But generally speaking, if I could tell you today, I had access to all the poles across the county, 3 to 6 months, we could be done with the project. So it's a lot of it is building up to that, right? We got to get that design ready, get that to the pole owners, and get them working on getting those pieces back to us as soon as we can. The other thing we'll do is we will kind of give them a priority list, right? So I mentioned all the areas that we're going to break it up into boundaries. We'll tell them, give us this one first, because if you give us this one, we can build it, but it might have to connect back. So we'll do it in a way that we can activate as many customers as quickly as possible. And we've gotten good at working with them on that to make sure that goes smooth as well. Once some of our first projects, we would submit pole permits and we'd get a few poles over here, a few poles there, and a few poles there. So we'd go build it, but it wasn't all tying together and we couldn't hook anybody up. So we're getting better at that. So lots in the works, lots going on behind the scenes right now. So you might be seeing our crews out walking out, as I mentioned, but I assure you there is a lot going on this. Like I said, within the later this year for sure, we'll start submitting those to the poll owners, hopefully in the next few months. And then once that happens, we'll track them and make sure those get turned around. And as they do, as soon as we get them back, we'll build. And the good news here is that there's we're not seeing any slowdown in terms of labor or in terms of materials. We have all the fiber we need to do these builds, and we have crews that are ready to roll. We just have to give them access so they can go do the work. So there's usually a lot of questions, so I might stop there and.
I'll start.
Please.
How did you determine where you would start?
It's a very good question. So these blue areas, we had no say in the matter. That was the federal government, the FCC, basically posted these areas and said, whichever provider needs the least amount of funding to build them will win the reverse auction, whatever, and get and claim those areas. So those were kind of predefined. For the state grants, the state issued basically a grant round, and they limited it to areas where we could prove that they had less than 25 megabit speed. That's really difficult to do, and so there are areas where I'm sure there are areas where our data was saying they have higher speeds that maybe are not actually served. We worked very closely with Melanie Townsend, who used to be on the court. I worked very closely with her to try to pinpoint, identify as many areas as we could justifiably say were unserved. Undoubtedly, there are probably a few areas that we missed, right? That's just the nature of this. None of this data is perfect. The good news is this is not the last bite of the apple. Far from it. Hopefully soon here this spring, they will open up a new round. The state of Kentucky just received $1.1 billion to help expand broadband across the state. And so there will be another opportunity. So if we're out here and we realize there are some areas that we missed, I'd love to send another application in. The way that will work too is the state will post a map, hopefully here soon, that will show all the remaining unserved addresses in the state. If Montgomery pops up and there's 100 addresses or 50 addresses or something like that, we can package up an application and go after that to incorporate them into this project. We tried to be as inclusive as we could on this first round. I think you're going to be pretty close to complete. You're not going to be complete. There's going to be some holes. There always are. But this is as extensive as a project as we've won at the state level. So
There are pockets
Sure.
that are unserved, have been, and they are right under your nose.
I'm one of them.
Okay, I think I talked to you last time.
I think you did.
And so we will.
Nobody's been out there, and I'm really aggravated.
Okay.
And somebody ought to let me know. where I'm on the list or not.
You were down here somewhere, if I recall, right?
Yeah, right off 599.
Okay. So, just because no one's been out to your house, I mean, so these blue dots, it's likely no one's been to your house yet. But we're working on getting there, and they will. If it's a blue dot right now, they will have service as soon as we get this project done, which we hope is as quickly as we possibly can. If you are not a blue dot today,
I don't know whether I'm a blue dot or not, and I'd like to know.
let's do a little experiment here. What's your address?
1280,
But I don't think you were last time, which makes me think of
1280 Lower Spruce Road.
Lower Spruce.
You're within a mile in the back of my farm and within a quarter of a mile in front of it.
Would that be Mount Sterling?
It's Jeffersonville.
Jeffersonville, that's right. Let's see, let me do this right now.
There's two of us out there that on the same farm that would really like to have this.
Yeah, and so I think, it's not letting me, usually what I can zoom in here, and it'll show me, I think that I'm not connected to the internet here.
The last time I talked to you fellas, now I've called the company since then, I've called your construction area since then, I've called the judge, I aggravate him to death. And I say he'll be tickled to death when you get me hooked up.
You're not alone. There are lots of folks like you in the same boat. We understand the importance of getting the service out to people. And so
you're on that road that I'm on, Lower Spruce.
Okay.
But you're back of the farm, and I'm the last house to Ward 599.
Okay.
So I'm between a rock and a hard place.
Yep.
And they quit at the back of the farm, and they don't seem to want to come across the creek to the front of the farm.
Okay. So, yes, so if that's the case, and I think I remember, because my follow-up from our last meeting is Melody and I had a list of addresses that I think several folks had given us, and I worked.
Security systems don't work for her. I mean, if you don't have fiber, I mean, security systems don't work for her.
Oh yeah, there's
lots of reasons that she needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, honey.
I mean, seriously. There's a lot of
serious
things.
about this.
I live up from Miss Lane, and they are coming. They're coming up 1050, which we're 599. 1050 is on this side. If I could see that, I would show you.
I can't,
but they are working. But when you said about like doing the pose from like we have Clark Electric,
yeah.
but they are setting. They have set pose on 1050 and 599 down to where Miss Lane is.
Okay.
Okay, they're right there. They've set pose Miss Lane to Greg Barnes's old place. There's new pose, but so and they're going in ground. So how does that work when you're talking about getting permits for the post, because they've already put posts. They've already got like the post like at the creek, because I know they can't go through the creek, so they've got the post.
Yeah.
So they'll have to go above and then go back down.
Back underground.
And then go back up when they get to the next creek.
Okay, and that does happen. I mean, we will go, typically what happens is we follow electrical, right?
Yes.
So if electrical's on the poles, we're on the poles. If electrical's underground, we're underground.
Our electrics are on the pole.
On the pole?
Yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah.
Now, I was gonna say, sometimes electrical's on the pole, but we'll just go underground because if there's an issue with the pole, if we can't get them to turn our pole around.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have transmission poles, they don't like us to touch it all. There are reasons where we have gone underground to get around the pole. So, for this specific situation, I wanna look into it more closely to see this, because honestly, sometimes those are the hardest ones, when it's a one-off location here, as opposed to a group of 10 homes that we've never reached before. Because we build out there and get those 10 homes, and when it's a one I'm not saying we don't wanna do it, we wanna connect everyone.
Yeah, they're over there, they're pulling, the lines through over on the next road over that
Okay.
will come up and around. But, I go over the mountain and go down that way to see where they're at. And of course, they work 2 weeks in one ditch. And so, and then now they're back going the other way that they just had come from, so I don't know, but, you know, we are waiting, you know, patiently, but it's, you know, it's a need. My son is in college, and he has to come to town and go to the school to do his homework,
Oh, yeah.
because our internet sucks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in a different situation.
What's your situation?
We're on the bypass.
Okay,
We can see fiber,
okay.
and we really don't have, very good internet at all. Everybody has internet around us, and we're on the bypass.
Do you sit far back off the road?
Not very, I mean, we have a long driveway.
Yeah.
You can throw a rock, just about.
Yeah.
And you have service, who do you have service to?
Nobody.
No, nobody, okay. And if you've tried to get us, and what would we say, we can't get to
We
you?
tried to get, what did we try to get?
I think it was Spectrum.
Spectrum, and it was $10,000 to run, before the project started.
Sure.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5 years ago.
Okay.
We lived there 30 years and haven't had, we had AT&T, DSL, and it was.
Everything is really expensive, and
But,
We're directly across from the school,
they just upgraded their fiber,
which has.
and we watch it. So every time he runs out there and says,
Mhm.
oh, are we getting that?
I was told by Spectrum that if, my husband and I just moved, as you can tell, I'm not from around here by my accent. But my husband is, and his family's been here forever. We just bought on Levy Road. And, I called Spectrum every day for a week, and everybody that I spoke with said, oh, that's crazy, you can't get it. And then they finally had somebody from construction, I guess, call me, and said that in order to get it to us, they would have to run over 300 feet of cable or something like that, and that Spectrum would finance 3,000 of it, but me and my neighbors would have to come up with $9,000 if we wanted to run it out there.
I didn't.
So, I mean, I was laughing at that poor woman. I'm like, I'd say, get out of here and uncertain words.
So, let me do this. I'm gonna connect to the internet so we can, I should be able to zoom in on locations where we can see. What you're describing there is, let's back up to pre-COVID times. Our network, for us to run, sometimes it doesn't even seem like it's that long. So let's say the fiber's running on your street, and you sit a quarter of a mile off the road. I don't know if that's probably too long. Sometimes to get to your home, it's not just tying from here, I might have to tie from back here to get there. And so what it used to be was, whatever that cost was, and the cost of doing this is expensive. That's the one thing that I've learned, it's a major infrastructure investment. And sometimes before other funding sources were available, and it was just us paying for it, you have to do that at times. We would say, to get to this house, it's gonna cost $10,000, and we will we put forward X amount, and we would need to find the other amount somewhere else. What I'll say is, since then, we've now increased that. We will always do at least 6,000 a home. In addition, we also try to use as much of these funding resources as we can. No one in the state or the country has participated in as many RDOT or state grant award builds as we are. We're building to more than 100,000 homes through these projects. So we're trying to get to everybody, right? Sometimes it's difficult. Sometimes we have folks who are in a weird spot that's hard to get to. We'll find a way, but, so, like I said, with this project, and again, if you're one of these blue dots, you haven't seen us come to you yet, but the plans are in place to get to you. And that's why I want to see if any of you all are. The last time when I talked with Melody at the meeting, she had a list of addresses that folks had brought to her. I know yours was one of them. I don't think you were a blue dot, which means I don't have currently in place a plan to get to you. Doesn't mean I can't find one, but it's just not on there yet. I could be wrong about that, but I want to check it. And if it's not on there, like I said, there will be other rounds. There might be opportunities for us to get it covered right now, or there might be opportunities for the next round of funding to get you covered. We're trying to get through this as quickly as we can.
I'd like for it to be in my lifetime, but you better hurry. I'm 86.
That's what I said. Don't worry, Miss Lane, that's what I said.
I promise you, we're moving as quickly as we can. Let's do this. And sometimes too, it can be the most frustrating when you are that close to it, right? A lot of times the really rural areas, some of the folks out there know they're not getting service. They're miles away from the city. They understand that it's hard to get service out there. When it's that close, it seems like it's right there. I should be able to get it. Sometimes we can, sometimes it's more complicated than that. Sometimes there's a railroad crossing or a ditch or something like that that adds to the expense and makes it more complicated for us.
I can hit a golf ball at the end of the line.
How far can you hit a golf ball?
300 yards.
That's a pretty good shot.
That's a crush shot.
Okay, let's start. Your address, give me that one more time. I want to see if it works this time.
1280 Lower Spruce Road.
There you are.
Find it?
Found you. Okay, so this is a perfect, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're building all around you.
You are, honey.
To be fair, you don't want me building, but our teams are. So yes, this blue area is probably what you're seeing.
It's on 599.
You're seeing that work being done today.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, some of these folks may already even have service. Up here, what street would this be? This would be, my roads aren't showing up here. This street here is part of the next phase, the state grant bill that we're doing.
Probably that's 1050 probably.
Yeah. And so you kind of connect the two, and I don't have, are you the only home on the street, or are there others here?
Honey, there's a bunch of homes in the back of the farm,
Okay.
and they've all got internet.
Okay.
I'm probably the only one on Lower Spruce that doesn't have it.
Okay. So,
See those white streaks where you got right in there? That's where I'm at.
right there, okay. So I'm gonna make notes of all these, I'll do them save in here. Let me look, because what I want to do is I'll have our team look at it to see what we can do today, what we can do to fold it into this state grant project, and if neither one of those works, then we look at what's the next round of funding and what's the next opportunity to get service to you. We'll do it as quick as we can, I promise. We're trying to get to everybody.
Well, I'd like to have it because I'm out there by myself.
Yeah. Understood.
And it's hard to get anything done.
Oh, I'm sure. I think everybody knew even before COVID what an issue not having service was, but that just kind of turned it all up to 11. So
Now, when I was young, it didn't matter, but I think I'm getting older.
All right, let's see, who is next? What was your address? Oh, you got another?
Yeah, can you move the screen out just a little bit? See, I can't see back there, my God.
Go on up there.
Work as well, take it out. Go, so this line is here, go this way. Back. Let's see, that's. Well, I'm saying that, what is Okay, this is me. Right
Okay.
here. This is me. I own this and I own this.
Okay.
So that is me.
And we connected over here?
No, there's just poles, like there's a creek that runs right through here, and there's a pole on this side and a pole here. There's a creek right there. And then, of course, I have a box here and there's a box here. And then you go on up the mountain, Cynthia over there. But that's me right there.
Okay. So here's what I'll say too about these projects, is that any project that we do, whether it's this RDOF one or one of the state grants, we have a designated number of homes that we're gonna hit, right, that are in that. It's, you remember what the number of ours, 26? I don't have it on top of my head, I have to look on my notes here. But we hope that that is a ceiling and not a floor. So I hope that as we're building this blue area, by federal law, we have to build the homes, to connect the homes that are in there. We try to also connect, if we're running down this road, we want to connect everybody on the other side. Just because they weren't part of the project, we want to pick them up. If we have to run down a road to get here, we want to pick everybody up along that road. We're trying to pick up as much as we can.
So you say when you're finished in 599, you've got the pipes laid there 599, that's what you're doing now.
Yeah.
And then they got to put the wire in.
That's right.
Well, hopefully, when they get up to my house, they can hook me up.
That'd be the hope. That's what I want to have our teams look at, because sometimes we call those synergy addresses. So we have the blue dots, which are addresses that are going to be part of the project. We have to connect them. But we have these synergy addresses, which are addresses we're also going to be able to connect. At the end of this, there's going to be fiber to the far reaches of every part of Montgomery County. We hope that makes it easier to connect everybody else if we miss them. But I mean, then there are also issues where, you know, there might be a home here. This is probably doable, but say there was a home that sat back there and had a driveway that was 2 miles long. That's tough, right? That we got to figure out. I'm not saying we can't do it, but there might be something we have to work out there. But within reason, we're trying to get everybody that we can. So I've got yours. I've got yours.
Now the blue that's there, are you saying that that's going to be connected, or
Yeah.
okay? Because
if your house is in a blue area,
well, I'm across the road,
right?
But they'll have to bore across. But there's a concrete box at the end of my driveway, just right across. So if before they get down there, they have to come through my yard, or just about.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure they get you then.
Oh, they will, or I'll be out there.
I believe it. You should.
I pay $170 a month for internet that you can't live stream, can't do nothing, and then $250 for DirecTV, and then cell phone bill you have 0 service, and a house phone bill for $100. So I'm looking at $500 and $600, and they, you know, we're still sitting and waiting, and it's not your fault, it's not theirs, but, you know, we do get a little impatient because we've waited so long.
I'd get a shovel and help you if I could.
Yeah.
I told our construction team, I'll climb holes if they need to. I won't know
There's
what I'm
poles.
doing when I'm up, once I'm
Yeah,
up there.
they have put poles, they're everywhere through there. So I'm just trying to figure out now if they're gonna come across the top of the mountain, because, Elliot was up there putting, new poles in, there's no new construction up there.
You're in a good spot, right?
Yeah.
Blue right now is the best place to be, because that's the project that is the furthest along. Right now, you're just outside the blue, but I think you're close enough that we can get you.
Yeah.
The other stuff is coming up. Here's what I will say, like, have patience with us, because this is a major infrastructure investment with miles and hundreds of miles of fiber we're trying to do as quickly as we can.
I know.
I got in trouble in another county where we were moving too fast, and they had a contractor that tore up somebody's yard, and we had to go back and fix it and all that stuff. So we're trying to balance it of getting out as quickly as we can. to as many areas.
When they pull that through those boxes, do they automatically, the next time when they're done with that box, do they go ahead and run it to that home then? Or do they, how do they do that?
So if I understand your question, what we do is, because the other part of this is, we are building available service to all these homes.
Right.
There's no guarantee that they have to sign up with us.
Correct.
In fact, actually what we're seeing is right now, in a lot of these rural areas, only about 40% are even signing up. I think that'll grow over time. That's what we're hoping. But so when we go through this area, they call it a tap. We basically put a tap in each home. We had this happen in another county where a lady made it very clear she did not want our service. We were building down her street. She didn't want it right now. Stay off my property. We said, okay. We put a tap on the pole or the box that was right outside, so that if she changed her mind or she moved and somebody else moved in, they could get the service hooked up. So that's, does that answer your question?
No, I was asking when the concrete vaults that they have, and they pull the cable through the fiber optic, and they get that through, do they go ahead and put it onto that house? Like, if they were working in front of my house, would they go on and do mine and run into my house and then go to my neighbor's? Or would they just go ahead and pull it all through and then come back and do it?
What they're doing
Do you
is
know
they've got a crew, because they've been doing it out my way.
Yeah.
They've got a crew that's coming through and they're running the fiber, pulling the fiber through the boxes. And then, about a month later, there's another subcontractor that's coming through and actually running it to the house.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with Hall's Communication here in Montgomery County. They're local. That's who's doing from the road to the house.
Because I know some of them on 1050 already have all the way up to where they're pulling, but now I have not seen that vehicle at all.
Okay.
Anywhere.
I know Hall, that's who's been doing it out my road is Hall's Communication.
Okay.
They're actually coming through about a month later. For the people, ones that have signed up, and they're running it from the tap to the house.
Yes, sorry. So yes, we have a separate, they're all within our company, a construction team that runs it along the roads, and they put the taps in, and then we have an install team that will come, because sometimes too, what happens is we might run that right down your road, but remember I talked about we build them by boundaries. Even if it's down your road, until that boundary is completed, we can't light everyone up. So we build everything, put the taps in place, light it up, and then our install, you can call in and get service, and our install team comes out and connects your house.
Could you look me up 3912 Levy Road?
Sure. L-E-V-Y?
Levee.
Oh. Okay. Sometimes it's dots, see where you are. Okay, so you have blue dots all around. That means you are part of our state grant project. So we will be building out Levy Road as part of that project. So that's the part that I said is right now is in phase one, where we are walking out the roads, put that design together. In the coming months, we'll start submitting those pull permits. When those pull permits come back, we'll start building it. So you are in the project that's moving forward.
Okay, so if I call and be a pain in the neck, will it make a difference, or will I just annoy people and?
At this point, it won't make a difference. Pretty soon, there will come a point where if you want to call your poll owner, it might make a difference, and then there'll make it. There'll come a time where if you call us. So, no, but what happens right now, and sometimes what happens when we have all these new projects going on, right? We get a new state grant project announced. You call into the regular service line, they may not have this in front of them right now. So they look at your house under normal circumstances and they say, well, we don't have any service around you today. It's going to cost $12,000 to get to you. You are part of the project, right? So you are going to be covered by this. And as quickly as what will happen, I'm going to show you another county, just so you can see what we're doing here. The first county-wide build that we did was in Scott County. We're getting close to completing that one. And so what you will see, and I'll share this, Judge, with you, we're a little bit far away from it now, but in the coming months, later this year, we will have these kind of maps here. Well, I don't have a Scott one for some reason. Here's Madison County, right? It'll show the different areas that we are building. And it'll show green areas are areas where we have completed service. Yellow areas are areas where we are currently working. Our crews are working. And orange areas are areas where we are waiting on pole permits. Eventually, hopefully soon, Montgomery County will look like this, and I'll have areas that are showing you what's been completed. I could have it now, right? Because there are some areas that have been completed with the RDOT. Same as in Madison. These are all RDOT areas that were completed in Madison. So I could have, green areas here. Once I get those boundary lines for this other project, I'll create that same kind of map. So you'll see, right now it'll all be red or orange, pending permits.
So what are you talking about, a couple of years or?
So it has to be completed within 2 years.
Is that the federal or the state level?
So, okay, that's a good point. The federal area, the RDOT area, technically doesn't have to be completed until 27. We're trying to do it a lot faster than that. The state grant put a 2-year time frame on it. Now that's going to be 2 years from when the contract is finalized, which will probably be here in the coming months. We just got them from the state a few weeks ago. So it'll probably be like 2 years from this time, from where we are now. But again, if I have pole permits right now, I can do it in 6 months easily. So that's really going to be, our goal right now is to get this walkout completed and get those permits to the pole owners so that we can get that back and start working as fast as
How many
possible.
pole owners do you have?
Here, so it's utility. So we have Clark, KU, is that in here? Okay. Yeah. So, and we just reached a big, actually I don't know if it's finalized yet. We're working on a big deal with KU because, as you can imagine, we have tens of thousands of poles with them, and a lot of those were really backed up. There were some of those that we had sitting for over a year. We just reached a new deal with them, which I'm hopeful will get those moving quicker. Clark, we've worked with, we're working with them in Madison and a couple of
Is
other
Clark holding you up?
Not yet. But if they are, I know who I'm going to have call them.
I'll be on their rear end, and they won't realize what they got a hold of.
I believe it.
Can I give you my address?
Please do, yes. Sorry. Go ahead, Nessa.
I'll ask you, between the federal and the state, do you foresee any gaps once the federal and state's completed? Will this truly be county-wide broadband, or are there going to be some gaps or holes?
So I really hope that it's countywide broadband. I think there are unfortunately, some small gaps right now that we miss. Like I said, you all are benefiting because, what was that, a year and a half ago, I sat down with the court, with Melody at the time, and we looked at the map and tried to pinpoint. Most counties didn't take that approach. Most counties, I was having to look at data at a very high level and guess where unserved locations were. You all are going to be as close as anyone when this is done. That said, if the state's map comes out that I mentioned for this next round, and it shows, because the state has all this information too, right? They know where we are going, so they won't award more money for those areas. But if they show a few spots throughout the county, we'll work with you to package up an application for those as well. So I think you're going to be very, very close. It's so hard to say you're getting to 100% because even sometimes it's like you see a house and it's like we didn't connect that one, but it's actually a barn, or the house isn't there anymore. It's really hard even to just pinpoint every address. Your address.
Okay. 6600 Indian Mound Drive. that bypasses the address.
Okay, I see what you're saying, you're really close.
Yep.
Is this your house right here?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So you are gonna be one of the one-offs that I wanna take a closer look at to see what it would take for us to get to you,
Yeah.
right? Honestly, what we have found is sometimes these situations where, I had one in another county too, where it was a subdivision. Obviously, we served the subdivision. At the very end, there was a house that sat off the back of the subdivision.
But it'll come from that pole,
The fiber comes to that one pole and then crosses the road and goes to the school.
Okay.
the
Right
pole
now-
is on our side.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Right now, the only thing we can get with anything is wireless. And then it's not fast enough to do anything with no security, anything. And when the school is in session, the people that come to park, they're using their cell phone. So that takes our internet down to even more.
Sure. So I wanna look at yours
What level
special,
you have.
I wanna look at yours special,
Okay.
to see, and again, what we can do today, what we can do as part of these projects, you're not as close to the project, so I'm wondering, it might be, I'm thinking either we can get you covered now, or it's a gap we wanna make sure we fill in. And I will say, that you all are more involved and are more ahead of the game than a whole lot of other counties out there, so we've got some gaps we need to fill in, but I feel good about where you all are as a county.
Now, about 2 weeks ago, I called the company and they said they was gonna do another survey out there. But I've not seen hide nor hair of anybody.
Okay. When we're done here, I'm gonna give you my cell phone number. We're gonna get somebody out
That might be
there.
dangerous.
I had another county judge put my cell phone and email in the local paper not too long ago. You can't be more dangerous than that.
Look up 2228 Kidville.
2228, what was it?
Kidville, with 2 Ds.
Kid.
AIDD.
Oh, is that Winchester?
No.
For some reason, it's taking me down here. Hang on.
It's a new construction.
Is it right on the county line then? I don't know.
2230 Kidville.
Yeah, that one. There you go. You are part of the project. Green dots mean that we're on our way. Right, so that's, you all are in the same boat, like it's coming.
It's me.
All right. Okay, you are. Yeah, so again, we want to work through it as quickly as we can. We hope it doesn't even take 2 years. But we'll keep giving you updates once we get through this first design phase and I have a more detailed map that has those boundaries. I'll get that to Judge. And then we'll track it and show you where we're coming, where we're going, what's been built, and what's next. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you all so much, yeah. It's always a lively discussion in Montgomery County, I love it.
So if they are a blue dot, we're talking plus or minus 2 years?
I would say to be safe, yes. Again, I hope we can do it quicker, and we're gonna push.
And I'm not even a blue dot?
Not yet. I'm gonna put a special dot on your house.
Okay, I really appreciate that. If you don't, you're gonna wait too late, I'm 86 now.
I'm giving you my cell phone number. So
Okay.
you can call me as many times as you
I'll
want.
have my son call you if I die.
Okay.
Anything else? Ben, thank you, we appreciate your time.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Hey, Ben, don't shut your computer down.
All right.
I got some other. Some of my people. My area.
All right. Ben, thank you for being here tonight. Everybody that showed up tonight, thank you all for being here. Miss Lane, for the record, you can call me anytime, and I always enjoy it.
I really appreciate that, but beware.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, with that being said, do I have a motion to adjourn? Have a motion by Ralph Charles, do I have a second? Second, Daniel Carmichael. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. We are adjourned.
These babies are rough. I'm getting closer to 90.